Hi, welcome to Module 2, the pre-hypnosis procedure. I recommend that you read through the script a number of times and familiarize yourself with it and practice with another person, so you get that idea of just that communication backwards and forwards. So we're going to greet the people warmly when they come, and we're going to use a thing called the fast connection process. And in order to explore the fast connection process, we're going to go in and do another induction. So once again, nice and relaxed, sitting comfortably. That's right. Take a couple of breaths and just free everything up. Close your eyes. That's right. Just breathing. Notice your breath. Notice the gentle movement of your chest and how each time you breathe out naturally, your muscles relax easily and comfortably. And just notice your next in-breath as it goes down and down, deeper and deeper. Relaxing, focusing on learning new skills, new ways of thinking. And as I speak, you'll take these thoughts deep into your unconscious mind. That's right. Relaxing down through your neck and shoulders, down through your arms, to your hands, your chest and back, all the way to your feet. Peacefully relaxing. It's as if your muscles are only using just enough energy to keep you sitting. That's right. Feeling good, relaxed, knowing that this information you're going to learn in the pre-hypnosis will easily be recalled when working with clients. And if for any reason there's something you don't recall, well, that'll be just fine. You'll remain calm and focused, and it'll come back to you. And perhaps it'll come back once you start the hypnosis, and then you can include it then, because you can check your notes. So you realize that there really is no pressure on you whatsoever. It's just a conversation you'll be having. That's right. You'll recall the information about the diet, whether it's the 3-2-2 diet we're using or whether it's your diet. You'll remember to prime their feelings, to bring on board all of those deep feelings they have about why they want to lose weight. You'll remember to speak about exercise and them being mobile and being active. You'll remember all of these things easily and naturally. We're going to start with the fast connection process. So as you remain calm and relaxed, think of a special person in your life. That's right. Maybe it was at a special time. Clearly recall that, and recall how it makes you feel, and really tap into that feeling. Perhaps it's a loving feeling, a comfortable feeling, or a happy feeling. Let that infuse into every cell of your body so that it feels really good recalling this memory. That's right. Special memory, making you feel so good. And notice how you experience this memory. Can you feel it in your body? Can you feel it in your heart? Or is it a warm feeling spreading throughout you? Or a comforting feeling? Just notice how that feeling is. Perhaps there's a colour. If there was a colour that represented the feeling, what would that colour be? And where would it be located in your body? Just notice. And if there's not, that's okay. Just keep noticing. Keep noticing how good that person makes you feel. And now think of your left foot. And once again think of that person. Sink down into those wonderful feelings again. Notice where you feel them, if there's a colour, if there's a feeling like warmth or comfort. Really enjoy that feeling. It's as if you're swimming in those wonderful emotions. Enjoy it. Notice your right hand. Again, notice the person. That's right. The colour, the feeling. That's right. Enjoy. Enjoy. And as you continue to enjoy those feelings, you realize something, that you can easily be a great hypnotherapist. You can easily help people to change their lives. And you can do it in a very comfortable way, in a very confident way. You can impart this information which you are rapidly learning. All the information in this session is easily going in. And you remember there's no pressure if there's something you forget. You can add it into the hypnosis part. That's the beauty of the process. It makes it easy for you. So when you're ready, just open your eyes. Notice the screen again. That's right. So that was the fast connection process. And I'll describe how we use it in a moment. The technique we were using also is called porpoising. I'd like to say dolphining, but I don't know if that's a real word. I heard the word porpoising years ago, so I used that. It means we're coming in and out, like a porpoise or a dolphin coming in and out of the water. And what it does is each time you go down, it integrates the process quicker. But also what it does is shows you how you can rapidly access a feeling. So now imagine you're sitting in your office. Perhaps you're told your client is here, or your client knocks on the door, or you're preparing for them, and you quickly think of that person. It takes you into that wonderful state. And now when you go to meet your client and greet them, they sense you are accessing this feeling. They sense this warm feeling that's coming from you, and it creates immediate rapport. Because sometimes your client will be a little nervous, but you'll warmly greet them and will instantly put them at ease. This is a wonderful technique. This is a technique that you don't just use for clients. You can use this anywhere in your life. It could be that you're going to do some public speaking. It could be that you're going to a party or an event where you don't feel like being there, but you simply turn this feeling on straight away. And as we know, the sort of energy we put out is what we get back. So this is very important. So you've brought your client in, you've seated them, The important thing from the very moment that you meet them is that you lead the way. This is the secret to great hypnosis. And by that, if you are feeling nervous, they will feel nervous. If you're feeling relaxed, they will feel relaxed. And this is one of the reasons we also do the fast connection process, because it puts you in that relaxed, feeling good state. And you want to keep bringing yourself back to that. That's good. If you are confident, they will feel confident. Leading the way is very, very important. It's the key to hypnosis. We literally go into hypnosis to take them into hypnosis. And the way we do it is relax and simply start with an intention. I always set an intention for my sessions, that the sessions will run smoothly, that I'll communicate well with my client, will get great results, and that I will just know exactly what to say and do at the right time. Again, part of this is also taking charge. Leading the way is that you are showing them. You're the voice of authority. You see, they've come to learn from you. If you get the sense the person is trying to control the situation, we must take control because we're the expert. When they come in, direct them to their chair. If there's a couple of chairs in a room where there's an option, you can simply say, just take a seat wherever you're most comfortable. And they might take a seat, and then you can make for a bit of fun, you can make an offhand comment of, I wonder how you knew that was the exact right seat to go to have a good hypnotic experience. They might look at you slightly strangely, but it's part of the sorts of things that the famous hypnotist Milton Erickson would do. He might usher someone to their chair and say, take a seat, but don't relax too quickly. What he's actually saying is relax quickly. That's the message the unconscious hears. It's like when a child is about to run across the road and you say, don't run on the road. All they hear is run on the road. The unconscious is not good at processing don't. So we simply we can give them directions of don't relax too quickly, don't go into hypnosis too quickly, and they simply go into hypnosis. One of the curious things about working with the unconscious, but also it's something good to be aware of. Now, in home visits, you must create the right environment. I've done home visits on a number of occasions for people for various reasons. Sometimes it was because I was traveling and it suited me, going to people's homes because they couldn't travel. When I've worked with smokers, some of the people I've worked with are really quite ill, and they're really just looking for a few more months of life. And so they couldn't travel. So I was happy to accommodate them if it works in. But you must control the environment. I will generally take a chair from the kitchen and seat it where I want it to be. So control the environment. I visited one chap's home. The television was blaring with the football on. The dog was running around. And I said, great, let's get started. First thing we need to do is turn the television off. Oh, okay, he said. And now, where are we going to put the dog? Oh, he'll be okay here. No, I don't think so. Even if he decides to do something, we need to do. Oh, okay. And so these points of agreements were very important. It was taking charge of the environment. And if in a situation like that they weren't compliant, I wouldn't continue. I would simply say, I don't think we can do this now. Perhaps we'll do this another time when you're ready to do it. Because they're simply indicating they're not, because they're throwing barriers up. We don't strike this very often, but it does happen. And simply be aware of that. You don't have to be perfect. The session doesn't have to be perfect. You can make mistakes. You can leave pieces out of the pre-session, and as I mentioned before, you can just put them in the hypnosis session. You can make a mistake when you're reading the hypnosis session and just start and go on as if you hadn't made a mistake. They won't know. The environment doesn't have to be perfect. People can, things can happen. Noises happen. Where I see clients, buses pull up occasionally. I've been in noisy environments. I've had dogs run into the area that a partner has accidentally released from the locked room. Little self-sabotage going on there, but we simply use that in this session. A plane flies overhead. Instead of worrying about the plane, we can simply say, and whenever you hear a plane in the future, perhaps it'll be your signal to remind yourself of all the powerful reasons why you're doing this program. And you don't have to be perfect. If you're going to be perfect, you'll never get started. The main thing is get started. There's an old Zen saying, 70% is perfect. Now our yes set. We want to bring them along the path. Simple things like, so the questionnaire. The questionnaire has some importance. It performs a number of functions. One is that you've given them something to do before they come in, so they're already thinking about the process. They're planning how this is going to go. And it's also there's the perceived value of the questionnaire. What I want out of that questionnaire more than absolutely anything else is to have them think about how they're going to feel when they lose weight. The most important question you will ever ask them. This is the number one key. How will you feel? And we have to dig for this sometimes. You might say to somebody, why do you want to lose weight? Oh, so I can fit into this dress to go to the wedding. Okay. And how will that make you feel? Oh, that'll make me feel really good. Okay, so when somebody says that, okay, that may be, if they are a very low-key person and say they feel really good, that probably means they feel ecstatic. But for most people, it's, yeah, they're going to feel good, but they answer that because they haven't really thought about it. So you say, you're going to feel good. So just imagine yourself, you're at the wedding, you're wearing the dress, you fit into it nicely, and people are complimenting you. Wow, you're looking great. What have you done? You're looking fantastic. Imagine that, and then ask them again, how will that make you feel? Oh, it'll make me feel wonderful. I'll just feel so confident. And then I keep going. Okay, so if you feel wonderful, how will that make you feel? Oh, I'll just feel so powerful, so confident. Whatever the word is at the end is the word we're going to be using right through the process. And we'll discuss that shortly. Let's say, for argument's sake, that the word we come up with is confident. Now, they may not have thought of that as their original feeling about losing weight, but really that's what they're looking for. And we want that person to feel confident when they leave the session and to remain confident. This word is so important. I was doing a public presentation, and towards the end, a woman in her 30s put her hand up and said, oh, I've been doing the 5-2 diet for a while now, and it's really going well, and I call my days the cleansing days. I said, that's fantastic. She said, and my partner's doing it too. I said, how's he going? Well, he's not doing well at all. Oh, okay. Why do you think that is? Well, he calls these his torture days. The same people having the same diet on the same day. One person calls it a torture day, one person calls it the cleansing day. It's not surprising who's doing well. Words are very powerful. Words are incredibly powerful, and in hypnosis, we're all about words. So take your time and dig deep. Now we also want to ask them, when else did you feel like this? When else did you feel confident? And again, we might have to dig. I usually say, well, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be yesterday, it could be 40 years ago, it doesn't matter. I want them to recall, because we're going to use that information in the session as well. We're going to have them recall that past feeling and then link it to now, to them losing weight. And this is where we bring the anchoring concept in. Now, I explain it like this to clients, saying, just imagine you turn the radio on today and you heard a song that you haven't heard for maybe 20 years, and you loved that song and you are having a fantastic time with friends, and they usually nod because everybody knows this. That's right. Everybody knows this sort of feeling. And so we can then go on to explain that, it's a really simple thing. Our unconscious has linked that piece of music to a whole set of emotions and feelings and perhaps times and places and so forth. So many things. That's right. And so, this is so important to remember. And when they understand this, and we can look for examples in their life. I give them examples. I say, anchoring can be positive or negative. My mum, for example, when she was pregnant with my youngest brother, had very bad morning sickness. And the Beatles were being played all over the radio. To this day, and this woman is 79, she feels nauseous if she hears a Beatles song. That is the power of anchors and associations. Strangely enough, my brother loves the Beatles and has all their records. We can also have physical anchors, things we do. For example, a person who loves watching television sport. Whenever their sporting team or individual does something really well, they might pump the air and cheer, and you imagine that hand pumping, the fist in the air. They are doing a physical movement at a moment of heightened emotional response. Now, they are conditioning themselves to the point where they could sit in their lounge room with the lights off, with the television off, and just start fist pumping in the air, and they'd start to feel good. So why? Why would this happen? It's because the unconscious mind doesn't differentiate between real or imagined. It thinks the team is scoring, the individual's scoring or doing well, and it reacts as if. So you get that feeling. That's why we want to go back. We want to connect that feeling, that confident feeling, to them loving the program and achieving their ideal weight. And we use it from the past, and we're going to use a physical anchor of the hand touching or just brushing the heart. I'm going to explain why shortly. It has two purposes. So that they could literally be standing in a supermarket queue looking at all the chocolates, then they just reach up and brush the heart with their hand, and immediately they feel good about themselves. They're reminded of all the powerful reasons why they're losing weight. Now, I explain at this point the 5-2 diet, or you explain your diet. Let's say you like to use the zone diet, so you explain how it all works and why it works. But what's most important is whatever diet you choose, don't get too much bogged down in the technical details. Go for the benefits, why that diet is beneficial. And you might take some time to nut out at least 5 reasons why this is a really great idea for them. Not the features of the diet, but the benefits. Features are what convince people to take action, benefits get people to take action, not features. Okay. So as you can see, people make mistakes when they're conversing. And it doesn't matter. If you make the same mistake when you're talking to a client, I usually just laugh it off and say, oh, I'm a bit dyslexic today, or something like that. And people understand. They're not expecting perfection from you. A friend of mine used to say, I'm aiming for progress, not perfection. And that'll be the same for you. So, we're working with the 5-2. I find the 5-2 diet doesn't have enough structure. The 5-2 is 5 days of anything they want, and 2 days of the low calorie. 500 calories for women, 600 for men. You'll find all of this information in your... This is an important part of the process. As I've mentioned in earlier slides in the webinar, that sometimes when you just mention the word diet to a person, you can see their energy go down, or calorie counting, and all their memories. It just throws up all this resistance, which leads to self-sabotage. So we need to create a shift using new language. And we also need to make this process theirs, not ours. Make it theirs. We make it theirs by using the first bit of language is, well, we're using an example of the word confident, in that those 2 days are going to be their confidence days. They will look forward to those 2 confidence days. Those 2 confidence days will mean so much to them. Creating the shift also involves getting rid of words like diet. So they're not on a diet. They are on a confidence building program. They're not doing exercise, for those who don't like it. They are being more naturally active, more mobile. And they're not talking about counting calories. Now initially they do need to sort out what they're going to eat on those days, but the goal is, and I always advise people, simply sort it out very quickly and then just use that same thing each week, those same foods. Don't worry about trying to be creative unless you're a kind of real foodie and see how creative you can become. But most people, they can't be bothered. They just want to have a bit of time off. And sometimes people will talk about, I can't eat like this because of my family. Well, this diet does not affect their food at breakfast or lunch. At dinner, they can simply have a smaller version of what the other people are having. There's very few meals they can't have. And besides, all they've got to do is gear those couple of nights towards a lower fat kind of eating, and then they can trim down the amount. Very simple. So we're moving into the important areas of conscious priming. The first of these is the power pose. If a person stands in a powerful way, such as like Superman or Wonder Woman, or sits up very straight with a strong intention, it's shown that in just 2 minutes they can lower their cortisol, the stress hormone, and boost testosterone, giving them a feeling of confidence. This is basic science, biochemistry. This has been repeated many, many times. We can use this. This is so powerful because if you observe someone talking about diets, watch their physiology, watch their shoulders slump. We need to head this off. So our first is the power pose. Our second is going to be using affirmations, combining them with the positive habits. Now in the webinar, I introduced you to the creating positive habits. Specific context. But this time we're going to use the bathroom mirror with the power pose plus a positive affirmation or a positive statement. See, affirmations by themselves typically don't work because most people don't believe them, and most people are in a downward posture, creating more stress as they say them. Excuse me. So just as the study showed that standing upright in a powerful position pulls down your stress hormone and boosts testosterone, the opposite is also true, that if you slump and allow yourself to adopt the posture of someone who's a bit defeated, testosterone comes down, therefore lacking confidence, stress hormone goes up. Really, really important, this distinction. So our positive action, our conscious priming, whenever someone goes to a bathroom, they will take 30 seconds to look in the mirror, stand up straight, and look at them and just themselves and just say something like, I'm achieving my ideal weight. I feel great about this program. I love being healthy. I'm an active person. I'm a healthy person. And believe it. Now the best way to do it is to do their 2 minutes of a morning and then 30-second reminders. Now, if they're in a public place, they may not wish to do this, but within the cubicle, they can still do it. Just adopt the pose. You don't need the mirror, but the mirror feeds something back. And this comes from another study, whereby just looking in the mirror for 5 minutes and faking a smile, it lowered the stress hormones. Okay? This is what we want to work with. These ideas that are known to create specific effects. Nothing, no guesswork here, no airy-fairy ideas. This is proven biochemistry, and we can use it. Create positive habits. And then, of course, the person congratulates themselves for their effort. And they're going to get these little top-ups across the day of confidence. Little confidence boosters, keeping them on track, keeping them feeling good. Which moves us on to heart math. Now this is really the core of the conscious priming. Heart math produces 3 measurable effects within 5 minutes when you first start doing it. 1, it pulls down cortisol again into its normal functioning range, which balances out other hormones. 2, it pushes up the hormone dihydroepiandrosterone, or DHEA. I never remember what that's called most of the time. I just call it DHEA, and no one ever asks me what it is. DHEA is basically your feel-good, live-long hormone, and it regulates testosterone and estrogen. Very important. We get the stress down, we get the feel-good hormone coming up. We can do that in 5 minutes with heart math. Now, we can also take heart math and connect it to other things, such as every time I walk through a certain doorway, I'm going to touch my heart and I'm going to feel grateful for something in my life. I just feel grateful that I'm achieving my ideal weight. So simple. So, the mechanism by which heart math works is simple. It's all laid out in your script, but I'll tell you basically the process is you place your hand on your heart, so we have an anchoring aspect occurring here. Focus your attention on your heart and allow yourself to feel a sense of gratitude and appreciation. That's what you have to do, 5 minutes. Obviously, they can feel grateful for achieving their ideal weight, for being more active, for being healthier, having more energy, feeling more confident. So we can link this again to that feeling that they're at the core of them creating change. I love this technique. I've been using it now for about 15 years with fantastic effect for clients. Every client I see learns this technique. There are other ways to achieve these outcomes, but in their studies, the simple hand on the heart was the most portable way to do this, changing the blood chemistry. Now, feedback I've got from clients over the years is the best way to get a great result is to do this going to sleep. So instead of a person going to sleep wondering about the next day or worrying about their bills or their kids, they go to sleep feeling grateful. And then, when they wake up, either before they get out of bed or with their morning cuppa, they spend a few minutes doing heart math again. It is so important. This is driven home that if they want to succeed, they have to do this. Now, we do this inside hypnosis as well. We integrate the process to speed it up. The reality is, after a while, it doesn't take 5 minutes to get this result because the body anchors this and the mind creates an association that as soon as that hand goes to the heart, it's going to turn on good feelings. It's going to rapidly change. And you know, somebody might say, well, how can you change that quickly? Well, what I say to them is, everybody has had a phone call with either good news or bad news. And you go from feeling one way to feeling completely differently in literally a few seconds. That is how fast we can change. As soon as we have that thought, our blood chemistry starts rapidly changing, either filling us full of stress hormones or feel-good hormones. You come home from work and you're tired and exhausted. Your young child runs up and wraps their legs around you and gives you a big cuddle. How good does that feel? How long does it take to change your whole feeling? Or, of course, the bad news phone call, which we all dread. That doesn't take long either. We know this is right. So I discuss hypnosis, and I do it in a casual way. The whole thing I want to get across is that hypnosis is a really ordinary, natural state that most people move in and out of to some degree, but they don't really understand that. When we see television stage performances, I remind them that they are performances and they can be manipulated, because they have to produce outcomes in a certain time on stage, and in television they can do whatever they like. Children all go through a phase up until age 4 or 5 of being in a light hypnotic state, because remember I said to me, hypnosis is a focused learning state. So they are taking on loads of data. That's a cow, that's a dog, that's green, that's yellow, that's a flower, that's a boy, that's a girl. They keep taking on information, and then it is put into context later on when they start to read, when they understand more. Around age 4 or 5, all humans throw up this barrier we call the critical faculty. It's to prevent us from being overwhelmed by information. You see, the children have got the core. From then on, they will learn specific information relating to things of interest. And that's why, if kids aren't interested in things, they find it hard to learn. So, if you're driving down a street, you will only take in about 7 or 9 pieces of data, because the critical faculty will prevent you from noticing every single piece of information. When you walk into a room, you notice the core things. There's a chair, there's a television, there's a door. We don't notice the millions of pieces of separate information that are floating around in that room. When we are driving, everybody can relate to this. I say to people, you know that when you drive and sometimes you can't remember the last few kilometers or miles, and they go, oh yeah, that's really scary. I said, have you ever crashed doing that? Well, no. It's because we don't crash doing that. We are not asleep. We are focused on the task. Subconsciously, we know how to drive. You see, when we learn to drive, we're all the same. We're trying to do it consciously, turning the wheel, applying the brake, changing gears, accelerator, the indicators, and it's very stressful and exhausting. But once those processes become automatic via taking the information into our unconscious, they become very, very simple. That's what we're doing. That's hypnosis. Just as when someone is reading or watching television and then you don't hear someone else talking to them, again, hypnosis. So we conclude by saying that, hypnosis is a natural state. Everybody does this. Everybody can go into hypnosis. Now, some people might say, I'll be a bit of a challenge. Or, I don't think I'll be easy to hypnotize. And I simply say that, they've found that anybody of average intelligence or above who is willing to participate can be hypnotized. So now you've put them in a position of, are they admitting they are below average intelligence? And are they admitting they're not willing to participate? And that's all it takes. Play the game. I say you will go into hypnosis if you want to make this change. You just allow it to happen. Simple as that. Everybody can be hypnotized. But everybody can resist hypnosis equally. Presumably because they're there for themselves. The unconscious priming is our hypnosis. And we are integrating ideas. We integrate the heart math into the program. We integrate the anchoring process of taking that memory from the past, integrating it into the now, so we can use it now within hypnosis. Very simple, very, very effective. Exercise and activity. At this stage we have a discussion. If the person is a keen exerciser, well, they're probably doing enough already. It's not their problem. They just need to focus on emotional issues, more likely on diet. Walking. Everybody benefits from walking. There are millions of studies showing how beneficial walking is. We encourage them to walk. People will generally have unconscious resistance. I don't have time, or it's too hot, or it's too cold, or the dog's sick, or I have children, I can't do this. Once they overcome that resistance, they will find themselves wanting to be more active. And so people who don't like exercise simply need to become more mobile, more active, use different language. Now, a system I work with, and this kind of idea is very popular at the moment. There are a lot of 4-minute exercise systems out there. Tabata is in that category. He was a Japanese researcher working with elite athletes who had plateaued. So, for our purposes, not being elite athletes, and our clients generally aren't either, what you do is you do an exercise at high intensity for 20 seconds, then you have a 20-second break. And then you repeat that 3 or 4 times. Most people will be worn out by the time they do this. Their muscles will be like jelly. Once they become better at it, they do the exercise for 20 seconds with a 10-second break. Now here's the important thing. Tell them to work into it. Work into it over the first week or 2. Don't go absolutely flat out. If the people are not used to activity, they might injure themselves. They might pull a muscle, strain something. And then if they experience pain, they won't want to keep going. So a person can start wherever they are and work into it. So even somebody, when they're going hard at the moment, it's not hard by the standards of a fit person, but it's hard by their standards, so they have to back off from that a bit. And there's a number of exercises you can use, like a shadow boxing, pumping the arms out. The temper tantrum exercise, where you sit in a chair that doesn't have rails on the side, or armrests. Hold your hands under the chair and pump the legs up and down as hard as you can. Knee lifting, like the marching, exaggerated marching. Jogging, and by jogging I mean the person's going for a walk and they just really up that pace into a slight jog for 20 seconds and then back off, and then 20 seconds, and do that a few times. By a jogger's standards, they're not doing anything. By their standards, they are radically increasing the amount of exercise they're using. They can do this swimming. They can do this on an exercise bike, on a treadmill. There's 101 ways to do it. Get people to work out ways they can actually do it. Geez, they could even go nuts on the vacuum cleaner for 20 seconds. Push it around, go furiously. Work into it, and then they only need to do 3 to 4 sets. And so obviously you've got an upper body with the shadow boxing, you've got a lower body with knee lifting, and the temper tantrum tends to have a general workout effect. This is really, really good exercise for anybody. And what appeals to people is it doesn't take long. I say, well, what could you do while the kettle is boiling in the morning? What could you do halfway through preparing dinner? They barely work up a sweat doing this, but it really shocks the system into action. So now we're preparing for hypnosis. We're getting to the point where we're nearly ready to start. And we're still perhaps reassuring people. So I might say to them, how do you feel about going into hypnosis now? And they might say, oh, I'm anxious, I'm nervous. I said, that's interesting. You are anxious, aren't you? And I wonder how you knew that being anxious is the perfect way to start hypnosis. You see, whenever we're making important change in our lives, it's only natural to feel a little nervous, to feel a little anxious. But this energy is good, and soon you will be able to just relax into hypnosis and enjoy the process. How would you feel about going into hypnosis now? I'm really excited. You are excited, aren't you? I can see it on your face. Isn't it interesting? I wonder how you knew that being excited was the very best way to start going into hypnosis. But now you can begin to relax. I'm still feeling a little bit skeptical. We see, it would be rare if somebody said that at this stage, because you've already described what hypnosis is and what it isn't. You've talked to them along the way, but if they were to say it and say, well, isn't that interesting? I wonder how you knew that being still a little bit skeptical is the best way to go into hypnosis. But now we can begin to just put that skepticism aside and allow yourself to simply relax. As I'm sure you can see the pattern, whatever they say, you just feed it back to them and tell them that it's a good thing. So it doesn't matter what they say. I'm feeling really angry about going into hypnosis. I'm feeling sad. Isn't that interesting? How did you know feeling sad or angry was the best way? They're unlikely to say that, but you get the idea. So, as we go into hypnosis, we're explaining that outside noises won't be a problem. We'll be covering this in the next module. That they will hear some or all of the words I say. This is important. Their conscious mind will still be alert because their conscious mind protects them. And I always say, your conscious mind is there to protect you. If a smoke alarm was to go off, you'd simply stand up and just walk out. As simple as that. So it's only natural that you will be hearing what I say, some or all. If you hear some of what I say, that's perfect. If you hear all of what I say, that's perfect. And it's important that they're comfortable. So I always say to someone, if you need to move in your chair during the session, that's fine. If you need to shuffle your legs around, if you need to cough or sneeze or scratch your nose, it's all good. It won't interfere with the process. At this point, you might ask if they have any questions. Some do, rarely though. Ask them if they need to use the bathroom. You don't want them to suddenly decide they need to 10 minutes into hypnosis and then their conscious gets focused on that. And of course we can ask them again how they feel about getting into hypnosis now if you haven't already. At this point, this is how I introduce hypnosis. I simply say just close your eyes, because you can more easily imagine and think about that time when you felt really confident. And I remind them that everyone can visualize. Some see pictures, some just a vague image, some see just the idea, and your way is perfect.